Ladies and gentlemen, what's good? We're back with another Call of Duty Mobile video. You guys are having a fantastic day today. Season 7 is here. We got all the weapons and all the buffs and nerfs, and that means it's time for our top 5 guns, or what would usually be our top 5 guns in Call of Duty Mobile. This video is going to be different from most of the others because with recent balance changes and how well they've made micro adjustments with so many of the different guns, I feel like we can't just do a top 5. I feel like at this point in the game, there are at least 10 guns that are viable for use in multiplayer ranks. So we're going to be breaking down the top 10. Not going to talk as much about numbers 10 through 6, but they're definitely guns you need to know about. If this video is helpful, make sure to subscribe for more COD Mobile content. We'll go ahead and hop in the action. Just to give you guys a little bit of context as to how competitive our top 5 guns, or even our top 10 guns this season are, guns that are not going to be in our top 10 include the DRH, which was previously honorable mention and got buffed this season, and the AK-117. And both of those are still great options, but not quite as good as our top 10, so we're going to go ahead and break it down. First up, we've got the R9. The main reason we have it in here is because it is most definitely the best shotgun in the game right now, and because of that, it makes it the most dominant up-close weapon. The main thing that prevents the R9 from being higher is that it is incredibly punishing if you don't get a kill within those first 2 shots. It also lacks the versatility because it is a shotgun, so it's not going to be quite as effective on long-range maps, but on maps like Standoff and Summit, you can wreak absolute havoc assuming you got the right build and you're able to line up those shots. Next, we got a gun that was in the top 5 for a hot minute, but did get another nerf this season, and because of the nerfs, it's dropped outside of the top 5. That's going to be the MAC-10. For all intents and purposes, you can really consider the MAC-10 to be a more forgiving version of the R9. Obviously, with a 53-round mag, you can afford to miss a few more shots than you can with the R9 and still get a fast up-close time to kill. On top of that, it does still have a 1200 RPM rate of fire, which is the fastest in the game, which means you have less penalty for missing shots than with any other gun. However, it's received range nerfs in back-to-back seasons, and it does have more recoil than any other gun on this list, so those two things combined mean it's going to be basically useless in the mid to long range. Just like the R9, it's really going to be able to shine on maps like Standoff and Summit, but outside of those, you're going to have a tough time using it. Coming in at number 8 might be a surprise to those of you who don't watch my main channel videos. It's going to be the UL-736. This might be a controversial take for some people, but I think the UL-736 is a high skill gap weapon that in the right hands can be the best mid to long range option in the game. Being able to do 33.6 damage to the upper body and even higher damage to the head mean that any solid player is going to be able to pretty consistently achieve a 3-shot kill, which is 190 milliseconds. For context, that is faster than the minimum time to kill for the MAC-10. Even the gun's 4-shot time to kill is not all that terrible at 290 milliseconds, which is still faster than that of the LK and the KN-44. The fact that that extends all the way out to 32 meters makes it for sure the best LMG in the game and definitely one you gotta try out. Coming up next, the king has finally been dethroned. The CBR is no longer the #1 weapon in Call of Duty Mobile. At first glance, the nerfs that this gun got might not seem all that significant, but based on the fact that this was not #1 by all that big of a margin, and the fact that there were multiple nerfs that decreased the consistency of the gun, I can pretty confidently say that CBR is no longer top 5. It's definitely still a great option, and up close, it's definitely very viable, but you're gonna have a tougher time consistently 4-shotting. Because of some of those decreased multipliers, you're gonna have a much higher likelihood of requiring 5 shots even when you are up close, which drastically decreases the time to kill. The nerf to bullet spread accuracy is definitely going to be felt more on those longer range sprays as well, so while you can build it out to counteract that, obviously you're going to lose out on other areas such as strafe speed, ADS, or whatever it would be. Coming up next, just outside the top 5, it's going to be my favorite gun in Call of Duty Mobile, the GKS. With the buff we got a couple seasons ago, some people have questioned whether or not it's going to be a viable option, but especially seeing its level of dominance in the competitive scene and the potential time to kill coupled with the great mobility that you get on this weapon, the GKS definitely still has the power to be a monster in skilled hands. Obviously, you do need to be able to land those upper body shots in order to achieve the 3-shot kill, but once you're able to master it, you can pretty smoothly glide across the map, 3-tapping everybody in sight, at least if they're close enough. Now, finally moving into the official top 5 weapons, or at least my top 5 weapons for this season in COD Mobile. We've got the SKS. It's still here to stay and definitely still the king of the long range. There haven't been a whole lot of changes to the SKS recently, so there's not a whole lot I need to tell you guys. This thing's been inside of our top 5, I believe, ever since Stage 5 last year when pro players wanted it banned from the competition. 1 tap to the head's always nice, and if you're able to consistently hit those upper body shots, you can 2-tap from just about about anywhere on the map. The only reason it's not higher is because of the lack of versatility, because it is punishing once you start to miss shots. But especially for passive players, this is by far the best option. Up next, we got the Kilo/M13. I'm still combining these together because although some people would say the Kilo is a better option, to be honest, I feel like the M13 has the slight edge and they have pretty much identical purposes and function. The M13 is the faster rate of fire version that you're going to have to land more shots, but you also have a potential lower time to kill with only one headshot required. The Kilo, on the other hand, just doesn't have recoil. That, combined with the fact that it has the best bullet spread accuracy of any weapon in the game, mean that it is going to be an absolute laser beam anywhere on the map. So even though the time to kill isn't amazing, this is going to be a really solid go-to option for any player looking to play passive while not wanting to have quite as much downside in the close range as you have with the SKS. Coming up next, this is one that people were really excited to see we were getting a buff for, and definitely a lot of excitement to see it in the top 5. It's gonna be the QQ9. No question, this is one of the all-time most popular guns in Call of Duty Mobile. And when you look at the buffs that it got, combined with the fact that we had nerfs to both the CBR and the MAC-10, the QQ9 becomes the most viable fully automatic SMG. 30 damage to the upper body when you're up close means that it's a lot more forgiving and a lot more likely to be able to achieve a 4-shot kill than the CBR. And it also has more attachments that you can stack range with it, and a lot of stats that give it better base mobility. The one limiting factor on the QQ9 is going to be its range. It's going to struggle a lot at the long range, but that's to be expected of any standard SMG because it does have a 45 round mag option. Typically, you got plenty of ammo to spare, and I know a lot of people are going to say, Bobby, isn't it worth it to use the 10 mil? When you got an attachment that slows down the rate of fire and only gives you 30 rounds to work with, in my opinion, it's just not worth it. Now, I know a lot of you are going to ask about the Switchblade and where it really fits into the meta right now. So I tested it out in last night's video, and to be honest, it's pretty comparable to the QQ9. It's a little bit higher damage, but struggles more at range. And because of that and the fact that you do have other guns that are going to be able to outgun it, realistically, there's not much of a reason to put it in the top 10. But if I were to give it a point of comparison, it would be the QQ9. With a tiny chance of hitting a 3-shot being your only real upside, there's a good chance we'll see this getting buffed in the future. Coming in at our number 2 option. This might be a controversial opinion depending on the region that you play in. I know in North America, for the most part, the most popular AR has been the Kilo. However, we've started to see this one pop up more and more. It's been a dominant AR in Europe for quite a while. In watching Garena Masters, we've started to see it more and more there as well. It's going to be the Peacekeeper. Obviously, we had multiple consecutive seasons where the Peacekeeper got a buff, and last season it did make its debut in our top 5. And while it was on the lower side of the top 5 last season, I feel that the nerfs that we've gotten to the CBR and the MAC-10, and maybe a little bit more clarity on just how strong this weapon is, I feel that the Peacekeeper is the second best option of all the guns in the game this season. It's incredibly versatile because of all the different attachments that you can use. So obviously you can use the rapid fire barrel, but personally, I prefer the Task Force barrel just because it gives you extra rate of fire, but also extra range. There's lots of amazing recoil attachments as well. So this thing can absolutely beam from just about any range. It has a faster time to kill than the M13 or the Kilo up close, and if you're hitting upper body shots consistently, it can maintain that all the way out to 20 meters. The Peacekeeper also having better mobility than either of those weapons mean that all around, especially for aggressive players, it's going to be the better option for sure. But coming in at number 1, might be a surprise to some of you, it shouldn't be, it's going to be the KSP. For those of you who didn't know, the KSP actually got a shadow buff at some point last season. Nobody really knows when it happened, but testers recently found that not only did the developers increase the rate of fire of the weapon, but they also decreased the burst delay. So on top of the fact that the weapon doesn't have any recoil, you're able to 2-shot if you land a headshot, the 1 burst time to kill still blows everything else out of the water at 160 milliseconds, and it has ridiculous strafe speed. We get extra buffs to go on top of that. The KSP in its current state is one of the strongest weapons Call of Duty Mobile has ever seen, right up there with the Akimbo Fennec, the Prime MX9, and the original Large Cal HVK. I've seen a lot of people saying, Bobby, the KSP is a very high skill weapon. Not everybody can use it. I promise you, you hop into a game, you give it maybe 1 or 2 games to warm up, you'll get used to the intricacies of that burst delay, and once you do, it will shred every other weapon, even at long range, because the damage drop off is not that bad, and like I mentioned, it has no recoil. But that is gonna wrap up our top 10 guns in COD Mobile this season. Do hope this was helpful for you guys. If it was, please make sure to drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to the squad if you haven't already. We're on the road to 1 million subscribers. But that's gonna wrap it up for the video. See you guys in the next one.